to serving our entire community. In this challenging time, it's more important than ever to have leaders who focus on unity and progress. I believe in putting people over politics and finding practical solutions that benefit us all. Never stop believing in America, no matter our troubles and turmoil. We can and we will do better. We must be brave. Stop voting for those politicians who care about their career and gaining power.
All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a Thursday. Thank you so much for joining us. We had Kerry Kennedy on the show today. Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s sister. Really good interview with her. And I always enjoy speaking with all sorts of different people from all ends of the spectrum, right, the left, everywhere in between. You might have heard of this guy. He's done this show before. He's run for office before. He wants to be your next congressman. He's running against Dina Titus, the great state of Nevada. He used to be a Republican. He used to run as a Republican, but now he's running as a nonpartisan, more of an independent, but I've always seen him as that. I've always seen him as either a moderate Republican or an independent, and I certainly have the utmost respect for him. He's a passionate guy like me. Maybe he doesn't yell at people like I do. That's probably a good thing, but Ron Quince joining us in studio. Ron Quince for Congress. I am happy to be supporting him myself as I gladly wear this pin. And Ron, it's good to see you, my friend.
Well,
How are
nice
you?
to see you, Brian. Getting ready for a long weekend, I guess, ahead of us, right?
Yes, that's correct. Always dressed to impress, by the way, Ron is. It's why, look at me, I have a face for radio. But
One of these days, I'm going to show up on shorts, man, and t-shirt, dude.
I'll feel more comfortable,
So that's why kind of like, you got to see the different side of me, right?
Yeah, but you know what? I always, you see certain people, successful people, you being a successful businessman, and you're like, that guy was born to wear a suit. He's just born to wear a suit. Look at me. I'm born to look like a schlub. What can I say? Anyway, Ron, thank you so much for being here. So we had Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s sister on, who, by the way, is in Las Vegas today. She's campaigning for Harris. What are your thoughts on this whole thing? Because I think Kennedy's just kind of lost it. But why do you think he decided to endorse Donald Trump?
A lot of things probably would happen because I was actually shocked when he endorsed Donald Trump. I think what happens probably he's trying to get a deal with both parties, and maybe Uncle Donald gave him a better deal than Harris.
Do you think he was bribed?
You know what? There's some rumors about that. Some rumors out there saying that maybe the money that Harris was offering is not enough, and Donald which is I'm kind of shocked that actually Donald even offered money because in his campaign the only thing I hear about is asking for money.
Well, let me ask you this. I'm going to give you my theory, and it's based on some evidence and some people that I know in the Harris campaign who helped get me Kerry Kennedy today. By the way, I talk to a lot of these people on a regular basis. From what I understand, Kennedy reached out to the Harris campaign, not because he wanted to talk to her about issues, because he wanted a job in her administration if she wins. For lack of a better term, they told him to go fly a kite. They didn't even, want to talk to him. So he was upset. Then he went back to Donald Trump and claims that they had that conversation after the attempted, assassination attempt. I don't know if that's true or not. But I think now he went back to Donald Trump, knowing who Donald Trump is. He knows. He said it on social media, what he thinks about Donald. He said they have nothing in common. He would never work with him, yada, yada, yada. But Donald Trump made a deal only if it benefits him. And obviously Kennedy dropping out of the race, endorsing Donald Trump, benefits Donald Trump. Now, how much it'll benefit him, I don't know. That's what I think happened.
Well, looking at it too, because when they were running polls, I think that Robert Kennedy Jr. has at least like 5% of that vote, and of course, right now with having the polls are so close, some of them, well, it depends what polls are you looking at, because some of them are showing that Harris is up like a tremendous amount, that even 5% is not gonna.
You think she's winning Nevada right now? Because the latest polls say she's up.
That's what I saw. Actually, I was looking at it this morning, and I was looking at it yesterday, and she was up pretty quite.
You
I
believe
think
that?
like 5 points now, right?
You believe the polls?
You know what? I don't know anymore. I used to.
I don't either.
Because
Yeah.
you remember back then, like about 2 years ago, that everybody's showing the Republican Party's up
Yeah.
double digit, and then
I
when the
don't
voters
know
came
either.
out, it's done.
But here's I'm pragmatic. Here's what we know, I think. Compared to like a month and a half, 2 months ago, Democrats are in a much better spot, right? We know that for sure. Harris has a lot of momentum. What I believe in the next couple weeks are crucial. She has an interview today. She's going to be doing a couple more interviews, I would assume, maybe one by herself, which I think she should do. And then we have, Ron, this huge debate September 10th. Now, I said the Biden-Trump debate, which was a disaster for Biden several months back, was probably the most anticipated debate. I think this one could be even more.
I think, yeah, I think a lot of people are gonna turn in and watch, especially the non-decided one. And I watched the DNC convention, and the message are sound much better appealing to a nonpartisan, because it's more like a hope type thing rather than bickering on the other side, which is that's what my campaign's all about. Like, bickering, we need to stop bickering each other. We need to find solution, and don't always talk about you, because at the end of the day, you are working for the American people. I've seen a lot of political ads, and they always say me, I've done this, I've done that. But at the end of the day, technically, it's not all about you.
No, you're right.
You have to do what's best for the American people, and
Mhm.
sometimes they might agree with you or disagree with you. But at the end of the day, that's why this is a democracy country, or we're a republic, because we all have different opinion. If not, then we would be living in Russia, right?
Yeah, I don't want to do that. So you, as a former Republican now running as a nonpartisan, it's a good question for me to ask you: is compare both conventions, the RNC convention, which I would imagine you saw some
Oh
of
yeah,
that,
I've seen that.
compared to the DNC convention. As somebody now, you feel like you were kind of left alone in the Republican Party. You're now an independent. You're not ready to move to the left, and I don't think you should, because that's not who you are. You're more of a middle grounded guy. So, looking at both of these conventions, how would you compare the two? What were you more impressed with?
Well, I'm more impressed on the DNC convention, because they talk about what's gonna be the like a hope, what's gonna be the new, the future America, rather than talking bad to the other party. An RNC, we've seen it. The one thing they do is bash whatever's on the left,
Right.
but more like on the DNC, they're more like saying to the American people, hey, if we do this, then we're gonna have a better economy, better inflation, and kind of like they're hoping for the future. And I know a lot of people are saying to the right that why would you elect Harris when they feel like the Biden administration didn't do such a good job. And I asked myself this question: a lot of companies fired their CEO, or their CEO resigned, and of course the next person in line take over the business, and of course the business became successful. You cannot grade or judge the person because he or she is the vice president of the Phoebus administration. You gotta look at the people, of course, like because Harris is not Joe Biden, but people are trying to make comparison that he is Joe Biden, like she is Joe Biden. And I think that the American people are smarter than that. They see that what she has to offer, and I believe that her cabinet's much better than the Trump's cabinet. So at the end of the people, at the end of the day, the American people needs to decide which one is the adult person in the room.
Yeah.
When it comes to like
Have
voting
you
for
ever,
president.
if you don't mind me asking you this, have you ever voted for a Democrat for president?
You know what? I haven't.
Wow.
I haven't. No, actually, no, I haven't. I almost voted for Obama because of the change, but no, I haven't. As
Is
a
it
matter
fair
of
to
fact,
say that this could be the first
Yeah,
time?
could be. I would probably say that I would. I remember when I moved here when Bush was running, and I
Yeah.
wasn't that resident of Nevada yet, so I have to fly back to Arizona to vote for Bush.
So you voted for Trump in 2020.
I voted for Trump in 2000
And 2016.
2016 and 2020.
Okay, but now is it? I know you haven't said publicly that you're going to vote for Harris, but is it fair to assume you're not voting for Trump?
Well, like I just say, like I'm looking at my option, but the way I look at it, I like what Harris has said, and I believe my constituents in District 1 are actually saying the same thing what she was saying. And at the end of the day, this race is not just for the president of the United States.
Right.
There's also some U.S. senator, congressman, and things
Right.
like that. So my job is to make sure whoever I'm gonna vote for is gonna lead this country. I need to make sure that I'm gonna vote for the person that what my constituents are saying. Because like what I said at the beginning of my campaign, I'm not voting on just one side.
Right.
The beauty about being independent, that's why nonpartisan
You
independent,
can
is
vote
I'm
for
on the middle. I can vote for any
You can
of
vote
them.
for Republicans, for senators, for whoever you want.
Correct. I can vote for.
And you can vote for Harris.
For
Right.
Harris. I can vote for
But
Trump. I can vote for
I
whoever.
see somebody like you, and you're not alone. There are so many lifelong Republicans, which you have been.
Oh, yeah.
That I speak to that feel like they've been left. They've been left alone in that party and left dry, for lack of a better term. And then they move more to the middle, or they're more moderate. Amy Tarkanian, who is a wonderful lady.
I love her. Yeah, she's
and
great.
she's a fan of yours as well. I've talked to her about
And she
you.
could have run for office and win.
Oh,
You know that.
hands down. She would have gotten votes on both sides. But here's someone who used to be a staunch Trump supporter, somebody that I have a lot of respect for. And I disagreed with her on, and I still disagree with her on some things. But she would never vote for Trump. Now, she's still not ready to vote for Harris. But like you, she was impressed with what Harris said at the DNC. I think she's going to vote for Harris. I don't speak for her. But I feel like there's a lot of Republicans out there like you guys who have switched over now to being either more moderate, or for you, running as an independent altogether or nonpartisan.
Because Brian, you know what? Times are changing. We cannot run this country the way that it was run back in the day, back in the I would probably say
Right.
70s or 80s.
Right.
Sure that we had the Ronald Reagan era, and we have the Clinton, we have the Bush, we have the Obama. At the end of the day, bro, we need to make sure that we vote for what's going to drive this country forward rather than backwards, because the hate that everything's coming out of the mouth of other people's, I thought we were beyond that, Brian. I think we're in 2024. We're not in the 60s.
I agree.
And
but
we're still hearing that comment, man, which is like unreal.
I agree. An immigrant who you came to this country, right? You come to this country and you work at a fast food restaurant.
Oh, yeah.
To pay your way and to make something of yourself. I feel like it started with Obama with the birther issue, right? You weren't born here, and those kinds of attacks. And I just feel like it just got worse. Attacks on people like you. And it's sad. And people like you are what make America great. Coming to this country and making something of yourself. Nobody gave you anything.
No.
But I feel the same way about Kamala Harris. She worked like you. She worked
at
a fast food
restaurant. She kind of beat me into it, because you know what? My commercials was going to say that, I went to Jack in the Box to book myself to college. And now.
But that's what she did. She worked at
McDonald's.
I prefer Jack in the Box.
She beat me into that.
But both of you, in a way, though, would you say that both of you have a similar pathway where she's Black and Indian, right?
Correct. She has an Asian
and you're
descent,
Filipino.
yeah.
And you both work hard. Nobody gave you anything. You get your degree. You make something of yourself. She became a prosecutor, a really good one at that. And then duly prosecuted and duly elected in San Francisco twice. Then she becomes a senator. Then she becomes the vice president, and now maybe the president. I feel like it's stories like yours, stories like hers. She's a lovely family woman. And so you're a lovely family man. You've got great kids. You got a beautiful wife. She has a great husband. She's a stepmother of 2 kids. And, I really feel that you really learn a lot about somebody when the actual mother has nothing but nice things to say about you, the stepmother. I just feel like it says a lot about her as a human being.
And that's the way it should be. The problem that we're seeing right now is a lot of people are using negative things, so that's why the other person cannot be elected. But they don't really have, time to actually get to know this person, because you got to know who is going to represent you. Because at the end of the day, if you do not believe that this person is going to represent you well, represent your beliefs, you're not going to vote for that person, because, there's a D or an R, next to their name.
Right.
At the end of the day, we want to make sure that in America, we vote for the right person that can do the job for us. And that's why I'm running for Congress.
I agree. Ron Quince running for Congress, trying to unseat Dina Titus, as I like to say. She's done this show before as well. Nice lady, but the reason why I support Ron is because I think we need somebody that's a little bit more middle grounded, that can work better with both sides of the aisle. Don't even get me started with the other guy, Mr. Robertson, who did this show before and completely embarrassed himself on this show. I played that for Dina Titus and she started laughing. But yeah, crazy. Ron, what do you say we take some phone calls? I love to hear from people out there, good people out there that maybe want to ask you a question and want to talk to you. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation. Why don't we start off with Dave? Hey, Dave, what's going on? Did Dave hung up? Okay. Who do we have? Bob? All right, let's switch over to Bob. Hey, Bob, thanks for calling in. You're on with Ron. What's going on? Bob, are you there? Earth to Bob. Bob, if you can hear me, you're on the air, Bob. Go right ahead if you can hear me. Bob, are you there? Okay, I think Bob is there. Put him back on hold, and we'll go back to Bob. Put him on hold. 702-221-7283. Now let's go to Dave. Hi, Dave. Thanks for calling in. What's on your mind?
Hi, Brian. How are you?
Good. You're on with Ron Quince, who's trying to be the next congressman here in the great state of Nevada. What's on your mind today?
Awesome. I'm looking for a blue wave. I'm hoping. Looking pretty good right now. I got a question for you. Do you think that it is a mistake that Kamala is going to have Walz with her at the interview this evening?
That's a good question. I want Ron to answer it first. I think it's a really good question, and then I'll answer it after. Go ahead, Ron.
You know what? I think it's a good way to have Walz there because not many people really know who's Walz unless you live in the Midwest. I think this one's gonna help to get to know Walz a lot more better because a lot of people are saying that if you don't like the president that's running, maybe you need to take a look at the vice president because at the end of the day, both of them are gonna work together. So my opinion, that's a good idea to do it.
So I agree with Ron. So Dave, here's what I will say. 2 months ago, or actually a month ago on this show, I said her first interview should be with her VP nominee. Why do I say that? I think it'll make her a little bit more comfortable. I think she needs to be relaxed. He will help her a little bit in that aspect. And then after this interview tonight, maybe do some interviews by herself. Does that make sense?
Well, it does to a certain degree. The flip side of the coin, of course, is that he's going to be stepping on her spotlight a little bit. We all kind of know the personality of Watts. If we've been high school teachers, we have a guy like that come along like once in a teaching career who has that kind of charisma.
So, Dave, I hear what you're saying. Here's what I would ask, and I think you'll watch the interview. Ron will. I will. Let's watch the interview tonight. You might be right.
Yep.
Let's watch the interview tonight. Call back tomorrow, and we'll discuss it. You could be right, Dave, but let's see what happens, Dave. I appreciate your call, but I agree with Ron. I mean, I think this will make her more relaxed. I think it's a good choice.
And get to know, of course, Walz, because nobody really knows who he is.
He's an interesting guy, right? 24 years of service, a former teacher, a former football coach. Good dude.
Yeah. But still, we need to get his personality out there.
Absolutely, I agree with that, and I think we'll get a little bit of that tonight. But don't overshadow Harris. That would be a bad thing. We don't want that. I don't think he's going to do that. No, all right, 702-221-7283. Let's go to JD. JD is next up on PTL. Hello, JD. You're on with Ron Quince.
Ron, I met you at the Ahern Hotel at a meeting there one time, I think with Miller, and you spoke, and we spoke a little bit, and I was getting interested in your campaign. And then I see where you changed your mind and decided not to be a Republican anymore and be an independent. And I spoke with Larson and I spoke with Colonel Robeson about it. And it seems to me that the reason why you might have changed to be an independent because you knew you couldn't win the primary in the Republican Party.
Well, let's let him respond to that. Let's let him respond to that.
Let me just finish, okay? And what you've done now, I think, is ensured that the Republican Titus will win because you'll probably get 5 to 6 or 7% of the vote.
That's your opinion, JD, which you are entitled to. I want to give Ron the opportunity to respond to that, and I will keep you on the line. Go ahead, Ron.
Well, JD, the way we decided to change our campaign, because one, when I went to Washington, D.C., they told us, and I'm pretty sure Colonel Robertson and Fleming Larson knows this, that they said that the Republican Party nationally will not support any candidate that will come out of Nevada because of the fact that their focus is Texas and Arizona. And as a businessman looking at it, and a lot of people have mentioned that to me, I'm not really a right-wing Republican. I'm more like a moderate Republican. My belief is a little bit different. So it's a lot of convincing because I've been a Republican since when I was 18. And this is a very hard decision for me. I talked to a lot of people. And then at the end of the day, I decided that, it's not like I could not win the primary. That's why I switched party. I left the Republican Party because two things. One, I'm not going to get the support if I stay a Republican and win. Second, my values as a Republican is not the way the Republican Party is now. And doing that is not being myself. And I'm always been successful being myself. So then that's why I made the decision. And it's a very hard decision for me, being a Republican since when I was 18, switching parties.
Well, at this point, I think now you sound like all the things you said about Harris and the convention and what the convention brought out to you is that after this election, you'll become a Democrat because that's where it sounds you are.
Okay, well, I haven't heard Ron ever make that statement before, and I would respectfully disagree. I would ask JD a question real quick now, if I may.
Sure.
Why do you have a problem with somebody that wants to be true to who they are? Ron has made what he's characterized as a difficult decision, as being independent, even though he might consider himself a moderate Republican. Let's be honest. The entire Republican Party now is run by Donald Trump. They are run by MAGA, far-right Republicans. I want to ask you, the people that spoke at the Democrat National Convention, lifelong Republicans, Stephanie Grisham, okay, Jeff Duncan, just to name a few, Adam Kinzinger, are they all wrong too?
No, they're all auditioning for a cable channel TV show like Nicole Wallace and Michael Steele.
Okay, so all the Republicans like Jeff Duncan.
Ron is a smart guy. Ron, I know you're a smart guy, and I know you realize by what you're doing, you are ensuring that Dina Titus wins. You know that you're not going to win. You're taking enough votes, and you endorsed him, even though you love Dina Titus, just to take his campaign commercial.
But hold on a second. JD, to go back to what we were just, and then I want you to respond. You're telling me that every Republican out there that is deciding not to vote for Donald Trump, including his former vice president, Mike Pence. I don't believe Mike Pence is auditioning for a CNN talk show, okay, because he's boring. And the 40 people that were in Donald Trump's administration underneath him that are not supporting him, your reasoning is they're not all genuine. They're all trying to get a job at CNN or MSNBC. JD, that's ridiculous.
Well, at the same time, it's instant notoriety. If you claim tomorrow on your show that you were going to be supporting and voting Donald Trump, you'd be on The View. You'd be on every show on TV.
Okay, well, number one, that's not true. Number two, Mike Pence. Okay, so hold on. Let's backtrack. I'm sorry. This is an interesting conversation. You're saying Mike Pence decided not to support Donald Trump this time around because he wants notoriety? If anything, he's lost notoriety.
No, I didn't say that. Only that. I said it about the other people. Obviously, Mike Pence and Donald Trump are in a pissing contest. Now, I have got into a pissing match with you many times. So you don't like me, and I don't like you.
No,
so
you see, here's the difference. Here's the difference here. Well, you say you don't like me.
Doesn't like Trump.
Well,
and Trump doesn't like Pence.
All right. So first of all, it's not about not liking somebody. Donald Trump was okay with the chance of hang Mike Pence, and he didn't do anything for 5 hours. See, if somebody chanted hang,
two and a half hours.
Hold on a second.
To be exact. Two and a half hours.
No, it was not 2.5 hours. You're factually inaccurate as usual.
2 hours and 20 minutes.
Let me tell you the difference between.
20 minutes.
Let me tell you the difference between not like, and then poor Ron sitting over here. He's got to listen to us bicker. The difference between not liking somebody. Hey, JD. If I heard that people were chanting hang JD, I would call that out immediately as horrible, disgusting, despicable language. And even though I disagree with you on a number of different topics, I don't personally have hatred towards you or any of that. And I would immediately say, that's wrong. We shouldn't be condoning violence. So with all due respect, don't tell me that it's because Pence and Trump don't like each other. And as you said, having a pissing contest, I named you, there's 40 people within his administration, 40 or more that will not be supporting him. And it's not because they want a job at CNN or MSNBC. It's because they care more about their country than their party. And with all due respect, sir, Ron's in that category. I believe Ron cares more about our country than the Republican Party. And you, sir, I cannot say that for. I think you care more about the Republicans than you do the good of the country. Go ahead, Ron. Sorry.
Man, you know what? We got to stop the bickering, right? That's my slogan. Well, at the end of the day, you know what, JD, it's just like in my district, there's at least 42% nonpartisan voters. And at the end of the day, they want to have a change. They want to have a different option rather than just Republican and Democrat. And believe me, we put some science into this, and it's just not. I woke up in one day and I said, "Hey, you know what? I'm gonna switch parties." It's just like I spoke to the people in my district and what their opinions are. A lot of people will tell me, Ron, you know what, we'll vote for you if you're independent because you don't really sound like a Republican, and neither you don't sound as a Democrat. You sound just right in the middle. And at the end of the day, I care about the people that actually live in my district because I live in that district. I'm there every day, and I build businesses in that district.
But you wake up in the morning and look in the mirror and look at your family and say, I'm being true to who I am. And that's more important than the Republican Party. And I don't think somebody like JD understands that. He thinks there always has to be an ulterior motive. And I don't believe that with you. And I don't believe that with so many others that spoke at the DNC that are Republicans.
And let me tell you something, JD, and I'm not going to mention any name, but some upper high in the Republican Party told me once, 10 years ago, you know what, you should run as a Democrat. And I'm like, why? Oh, you know what? So you can win, and then your values are still the same, but I'm not that kind of person. I'm not going to switch party.
You might have a better chance to win if you were running as a Democrat, but you're staying true to who you are, and I have the utmost respect for that.
And I just can't do that. So that's why I'm running as an independent, and we're going to let the voters decide.
And unfortunately, there are people like JD out there that can't see the light and don't understand that not everybody has to have the wrong motives to switch parties or to run as an independent. All right, let's go to Sandra, 702-221-7283. Hi, Sandra. You're on with Ron Quince. Go right ahead.
Hi. Yes. So I just wanted to call in real quick because I am supporting Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. But with that being said, I want to speak to the independents out there who are unsure who to vote for.
Well, you can talk to Ron. You can talk to Ron because he's an independent. There you go. You're talking to Ron right now. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I am too. I'm an independent myself who's going to be supporting Kamala Harris and Tim Walz because they're for the people, okay? It is so clear to me after listening to both sides because I keep up with just about every debate from both sides. And I've listened to it, and I am 100% convinced that the Republicans are out to destroy the lower class and the middle class.
Let me ask Ron about that. So, Ron, as a former Republican, do you believe what this lovely lady is saying? I don't know if you agree with her or not, that so many Republicans out there are out to destroy the middle class and those that are struggling.
Well, it depends because, a lot of people are saying that most of the Republican Party's members are the 1%. The way I look at it is actually you just need to understand a little bit what are their policies are. Some other Democrat president have a better policy for the rich people than the middle class. So it could go vice versa. I think the best way that we need to do is times are changing. Everything is high right now. Cost of food, cost of living. One of the things that we need to take a look at is we need to make sure that we support the middle class because they are the backbone of this country. Without the middle class, then technically we're just like a third country, only rich and poor. So I believe that whoever is going to help the middle class and stay the middle class where there are maybe a better life than the past, then I think that's the one that we should vote for.
Agree. The middle class is what juices the economy. Thank you for the call, Sandra. Appreciate you. 702-221-7283. Tim is next. Hi, Tim. You're on with Ron Quince. Go right ahead.
Hello. Yeah, I just saw a clip on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. And, to be honest with you, I haven't voted a single time. I'm a younger guy, but a lot of my views on politics have just kind of seen that it's all just kind of a facade, a show. A lot of people just like to claim certain policies and never follow through on them. But one thing I wanted to kind of say about the Harris and the Walz campaign is, one, there was all these PPP loans handed out, $780 billion
quite a few
in loans, and they forgave 757 of them. And
Correct.
I think that is kind of a trademark on what it is that they're doing, forgiving all the student debt, doing all these things. Democrats have been in control since 2008, and I think the deficit or the U.S. total debt was, almost $20 trillion than it is now. So it's like all these claims that Trump added this amount and then never really are bringing in the fact that we faced a pandemic that we've never faced in the past, however many decades. and to kind of claim that that was because of his bad policies is kind of ill-willed. It doesn't really.
Well, let me let Ron, if I can, sir, respond to what you're saying. Go ahead, Ron.
Well, one of the things that you need to take a look at, the PPP loan actually started on when the pandemic happened. Of course, that's the best way for us to make sure that our middle class will stay afloat during the pandemic, because a lot of companies are closed. One of my company was actually we were forced to close because we were part of that non-essential business. And I think all these things coming out, and I don't know, Brian, if you agree, disagree. Usually what happened was the debts are usually happen from the previous president, usually get carried to the new president. So we can say that maybe Obama's policy back then was actually George W. Bush's policy, and we're trying to pay it back. And then, of course, Trump's policy is probably Obama's policy. It's just there's no way of looking at it because of the time of voting, so they do in Congress, the way they pass the ceiling budget and things like that. So I think one of the things that we take a look at is more likely not what's going on, but who implemented that, why that thing is happening, and we can make a better decision on who to vote for and what policy is good and what policies.
Absolutely. And then for me, I don't even care which side comes up. If it's a policy that I like, I think it's a good idea. Who cares whether it's from the left or the right? And that's how I feel. And I think you feel the same way, Ron. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Kelly. Hi, Kelly. You're on with Ron, who's running for Congress here. What's on your mind?
Good afternoon. I am Kelly Fitzpatrick. I'm the chair for Nye County Democrats.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you for calling in, Kelly. What's on your mind today?
I'm wondering, Ron, what are you going to do about the farmlands? And you have several Indian reservations within your district. How are you going to deal with those people? And they have numerous problems that are well beyond what white people consider that their needs are. And I'm just kind of curious as to how you're going to handle the tribal nations within your district and the farmlands.
Good question, Kelly. Go ahead, Ron.
That's a very good question, Kelly. One of the things that what happened right now is practically all the politicians, all the sitting candidates forget about the Native American. And, I remember when I used to live in Arizona back then, they really preserved the Native American culture and make sure that everything is taken care of when it comes to having a reservation. As your congressman, one of the things that I would do is I would take a look at that, study it, try to understand it, and make sure that we do right for the Native American people. Because at the end of the day, they're the one that came first in this country. They own this land. We're just
I
visiting.
remember, Kelly and Ron, I remember growing up in Connecticut, the Mashantucket Pequots. They built a huge casino. At one point, it was the biggest in the world, Foxwoods and Mohegan Sun. And there was so much controversy around that, right? Growing up, I remember I wasn't really into those types of issues when I was like 15, 16 years old. And now there are also land issues and so many issues that are still going on. And no, it's an important topic. It's an important subject, Kelly.
The tribes here in Nevada are not allowed to have casinos. They are not allowed to do a lot of things in order to generate money for the tribes.
Right.
So there are some specific problems here in Nevada for the tribal nations. Mm-hmm. As a chair of Nye County, I hold 3 tribes under my care. Mm-hmm. And I worry about them because trying to get roads set up for them, the counties are given money for roads for the tribes, and then they are earmarked, and then they change that money over to general funding, and the tribes never see it.
It's all screwed up. Kelly, I would love for you, because we're running up against the clock here. Hit me up on social media. My email is on the bottom there if you're watching on the Occupy Democrats Network. At PTL Radio Show, my YouTube page. Hit me up on there, and I would love to invite you to come on where we can have a little more time to discuss these issues. Sound good?
Okay, bye.
Thank you, Kelly. Appreciate you calling in. It's always nice when prominent people in either party listen to this show.
That's a good conversation.
It's a great conversation. I know
we can.
I know for sure some very powerful Republicans in this state listen to this show, but they're not going to call in. I know that because they tell me in person. 702-221-7283. Man, we only got like 4 minutes left to go here, so I'm going to try to squeeze in a few more with you. Man. Let's go to Bob. Bob, what's going on, man? You're on with Ron Quince. Go right ahead.
Yeah, hey Ron, how you doing? Hey Brian, how you doing?
Good.
Good. So my question: I live in your district, Ron.
Okay.
And why why for congressman? I mean, if you've never been a politician before, why not start like smaller, like, with the local municipalities where you might do a little bit better for the people that live there, and helping, make everyday life better with rent control, with traffic, with all this, obsessive building going on and just stuffing people in and where rent is out of control. I mean, I can't think of one thing that Dina Titus has done for my district, and I'm an independent. Mm-hmm. So I can't think of anything she's done to help out that area. It's just every year it just seems to get worse and worse. We see the signs coming, this road being torn up.
What would you say about that?
More
Bob,
industrial put in.
And Bob, thank you for bringing these issues up.
Yes.
They're very important, and I appreciate your call. We're up against the clock here. Go ahead, Ron.
Well, the thing about it is, like, of course, like when the budget comes out, it usually goes to the county, and then after the counties, it goes passed down to the cities. One of the things that we need to do as independents, we need to make sure that we vote the right people in there, because as your congressman, I can write all the checks in the world, give the county and the city grant money and things like that. But if the people that's actually seated there is not going to implement it, then nothing's just going to happen. And as far as your question, why not running for a small position or something in the county or on the city, I believe that I can do a lot more better as a congressman, because not only representing the people in Nevada, but I can also represent the entire United States, and also my race, my people, which is Filipino American people. They don't have a representation at all.
Great, close-knit families, good people. Ron, in about 30 seconds here, because we're running out of time, give out the information if people want to learn more about you, about your campaign, want to donate. We're in crunch time here, a couple months before. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Everybody, my name is Ron Quince, and I'm running to be your next congressman, Congressional District 1. Let's get started. I'm tired of bickering. You need to elect someone that's actually can meet people across the aisle, a bipartisan candidate, and I will be that person who can represent you. If you have any questions about my campaign, you want to donate or volunteer, visit me at quincefornevada.com, or you can follow us on social media, Ron Quince 2024.
There you go. I proudly wear my pin, by the way, and I appreciate you being here, Ron. I also want to remind everybody quickly that this is an independently run radio show. I get emails every day from people all over the country how I could get more involved in your show. Check out my website as well. I'm not running for office, though. I'm not smart enough to do that. Pushingthelimits.live. Again, that website is pushingthelimits.live. We sell merchandise on there. On the front page, there's a donate button where you can subscribe and donate, and I'll personally reach out to every single one of you that help support what we do here. I appreciate Ron Quince being here. I also appreciate Kerry Kennedy for joining us on the show today. That was really great. I'm going to post that on social media as well. Ron will be back, and it's always great having Ron in. I got to wear a suit when Ron comes in one of these days. I got to do that one of these days. But Ron, always a pleasure, my friend. Thanks for being
Brian.
here.
I appreciate
it. All right, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place. Tomorrow is Friday. We have some special guests lined up for tomorrow. Have a great day, everybody.
Hey, everybody. Are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of pie?